Hi, I'm in Bullhead City, Arizona with my best friend Grace. I've been visiting this last weekend, and she is with hashtag Make Bullhead Better. So if you want to see more about Bullhead City, Arizona and what she's been doing to improve her community, you can follow that hashtag on Facebook or on YouTube and find out more about her community and get some ideas for ways that you can improve your community. So today we're going to talk about hospitality. When people think about hospitality, they might think about hotel service or different things based on their past experience, but really at its root, we're just talking about the art of just being welcoming, making people feel at home, and how we can cultivate community through hospitality.
We're going to share 10 tips about how you can make your home more hospitable, which will improve your community, which will improve your friendships. We are just going to jump right in. All right, tip number 1. I kind of have a bad habit of somebody coming over and I'm finishing the dishes and I just yell, "Come in!" And that's probably not the best way to greet a guest. And so tip number 1 is greet them at the door. Whoever is coming, walk to the door. When they knock on the door, open it, make them feel welcome, and greet them.
Tip number 2 is to keep a clean and tidy entryway. This can be kind of hindered by just the habit of coming in and dropping your stuff. Maybe you have kids who come in and kick off their shoes or drop their backpack at the door, or you just have a habit of setting things down. But to kind of shift that and make a place for those things to go, so that even if you're still dropping your stuff, you're dropping it in a closet or just in a spot that the stuff belongs, so it's not kind of something to stumble over as you come in the door.
Tip number 3 is if you live in a home where you normally would take your shoes off when you come to your home, don't ask your guests to do that. It can make some people feel uncomfortable. What if you came over to somebody's house and you knew you had like a little hole in your sock and somebody was like, "Hey, could you take your shoes off?" It can just make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. So for the short time that your guests are in your house, don't ask them to take their shoes off unless they willingly do it. Don't make it a big deal.
Tip number 4 is to shake their hand or greet them with a hug at the door. Now this definitely differs depending on your relationship and your personality. So I know most of the time when I greet someone, I'll greet them with a handshake. Unless it's somebody close to me, like a really close friend or family, I'll give them a hug. But I know that physical touch and connection definitely has made me feel really warm and welcome, and I love to greet people like that.
I remember I used to live in Peru, and in Peru, they kiss each other on each cheek, and that was so too much in my bubble. In America, we definitely have a bubble, and so, like she said, it just depends where that level of comfort is. Tip number 5 is offer them a warm drink or a cold drink, depending on the time of year. Just making that offer, even if they say no thank you, makes a big difference in how they're gonna feel able to open up to you, that you offered them something physical and practical to meet their needs.
Tip number 6 is to offer a snack or a meal to them. This is something that I kind of learned a good trick from Grace. She likes to keep a little snack, like a pack of maybe crackers or cookies, something seasonal, or even a little candy like chocolate covered raisins, or some sort of thing that's set aside only for guests, so that when you do have a guest, you know you have that little thing to pull out and have a little something to share. I know I've had guests drop in at meal times, and I've been able to say to them, "Oh, have you eaten? Would you like to have lunch with us?" And I make it a point in my own mind not to worry about if there will be enough. I have a large family, and there is always enough to share and make your guests feel warm and welcome.
Tip number 7 would be to ask questions about them. Sometimes this can feel difficult. Sometimes people are like, "I don't know what to say. I don't know how to start this conversation." So asking open-ended questions is really important. You don't want to ask questions that have yes or no answers. You want to ask questions that will continue the conversation. Some examples of this might be, "How was your weekend? How was your week? What is something that you're really interested in right now? Is there a favorite show that you're watching? Maybe that's a show that you watch too. I know a friend of mine watches a show that I really like, and we've really connected over this kind of weird show that we watch, but it's something we both enjoy. What's a book that you've read? What's the last book you read? Can you tell me about it? What is a favorite hobby that you have? I know this last weekend when we went to Prescott, a friend that I didn't really know said, oh, I just love woodworking. And me too. So that's something that we can connect over, and it was really natural. Lastly, travel. Maybe they've gone somewhere. I'm sure everybody's gone somewhere. Like we just went to Prescott and we did this amazing hike. I would love to tell you about it.
Tip number 8 is really closely related to that, and it's to listen intentionally. If you do ask them about a favorite hobby or book or movie and it's not something you're super interested in, still engage as you're listening and really consider how it lights them up and they're passionate about it. Their interests and the way they share about it can give you a lot of insight to who they are. So if you're not interested, don't check out. Listen to your friend intentionally or your guest and learn a little bit more about them.
I think building on what she said, sometimes when we are listening to someone, all we're thinking about is what our response is going to be. And that can be really distracting because then they feel like you didn't really listen to me. You just wanted to talk about whatever it was you were interested in. Tip number 9, have a dedicated, welcoming area, kind of like a pretty room that's free from clutter. This also goes away with having a welcoming entry. So Catherine actually told me that she has this. So since she has a large family and a big house, she has one area right when you come in that's just dedicated to be clutter-free and welcoming so that she can sit down even if the rest of the house is a little bit chaotic. This area right here is just dedicated for friends to come over and just sit down and have a conversation with. So I really like that, and I'm going to work on making a space in my home that's like that.
So tip number 10 is don't apologize for your mess. We all live in our home. We all have times that we have dishes by the sink or in the sink. We have clutter that landed where it landed. Maybe the table, still has some groceries that need to be put away, or the kids left their things around. But don't let that distract you from enjoying the company of your guest. If you feel like you have to say, oh, I'm so sorry about all these things, or you have to wash up those last dishes instead of just letting them be and focusing on your guest, it can really detract from just the enjoyment of your company, and it can make them feel a little bit uncomfortable. So don't focus on the mess, focus on your guest, so that you can really enjoy your time together and have that connection. They won't remember the mess, they'll remember the time that was spent together and how welcome they felt. So those are our 10 tips for how to be more hospitable, how to welcome people warmly and enjoy when you have company over without being distracted, how to engage and just create and cultivate that sense of community and welcomeness that it is to welcome someone into your home. I am so glad you got a chance to meet my best friend Grace, and if you want to follow her on Facebook, she is doing a lot of interesting things with her community, and it might give you some great practical ideas for how to engage with your community. So thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.